Yo, JD here, Tyrrell Limitless, and as you can see on F1 2020 as always, and as you can see on the screen, you might have seen this video before. This is from WR Australia, where it didn't end particularly well for me, and I've already done a video on this, but you're also going to see another Australia League race, and this is probably going to be a common theme. Every couple of weeks or something, you'll probably see a league race around the same track, because this isn't WR, this is TSRL, and this is what I stream on Fridays and WR on Mondays. So that first clip was from WR. I made a mistake, was in a pretty good position at the time, and just completely threw it away. And I've already said in that video, and a lot of people are really supportive and everything as well, but I was just extremely quite upset and just angry at myself after that. So going into TSRL, I didn't feel comfortable with the setup earlier in the week. I made quite a few adjustments to make it much more comfortable for me as we entered this round, and I really wanted to make a good comeback, because I think the best medicine for a very disappointing or very upsetting event is to try and get the redemption, come back stronger, and just smash it out the park pretty much. And TSRL is a little bit different to WR because we're running a full qualifying format, as you can see here. So you have the Q1, Q2, Q3, and you can see in Q1, Q2 managed to get through. I validated my first lap in Q2, but still managed to get through and just doing the business at the moment here. And this is the first lap that I did in Q3, and as I said before, the setup adjustments, I just felt much more comfortable, and I think it's always good to have a 50% experience under your belt for a track in advance, which is why a lot of leagues structure the same calendar, because a lot of drivers can practice for these races and stuff. So I had that on my side. I just felt much more comfortable, much more controlled, and now this is on to my fastest lap in the session. We're currently in P3, so we've been hitting the top 5 in most of the sessions so far. Going through turn 1, that was very nice. Could have been a little bit faster, but just very nice, clean and tidy. Going down into this heavy braking zone here, going to second gear for a little bit of that extra rotation, using all of the track. You have to use the maximum for track this time, not invalidating for the left-hander, completely flat through the right. And the end of sector 1, this is a very difficult corner. There's really no kind of reference point going through here, but again, not balls to the wall, but pretty clean and effective. Going to here, though, this time I made a mistake here. You need to hook your right tyre on the inside of that curb, and I didn't do it, and you can see we lost a little bit of time on that delta, and you can tell by my expression as well. But going through the middle sector, we are not on track for pole at the moment, but we absolutely nailed that chicane. We did that so perfectly, and I just thought in my mind, I'm just going to have to absolutely send it here. And so far in this sector 3, everything has been perfect, using all the track on the exit, going into the penultimate corner now, hitting this to absolute perfection, short shift into 4th, then into 5th, using all the track on the exit again, and going up towards the line. What is it going to be? Ah, yes! And at this moment,
could be beaten though.
As I just said there, it felt like it was good enough for pole position. And then coming towards the end of the session itself, let's see if we managed to get that. And we did. We pulled the lap out when it mattered. And that's the thing that's quite difficult about this long qualifying, the full qualifying format. You have to wait quite a bit of time between laps. And some people don't like it. But for me, it just really makes it much more intense, because you just have to pull it out when it matters. You could be on pole for Q1, Q2, but it's all about that Q3, and I was just so happy I pulled it out. So redemption a little bit already, starting in a much better position. And just for your information, the top 3 in WR are all in this race, and we out-qualified them. So we've got 4 lights, 5 lights here. As they go out, we try and get a good start. McCabe and Antoine are right behind me, but McCabe Sam gets an absolute rocket launch start in the AlphaTauri, going into here, trying to lose a little bit of room on the inside here, and we just lose 1 position to McCabe Sam, but we do have a little bit of a buffer out behind, so not ideal, because I've already expressed how much I don't like dirty air in this game and how easy it is to make mistakes whilst in dirty air, but this is still not a bad position, and I just felt 10 times more confident in my race pace and everything going into this one. But the only thing is, it is incredibly hard to overtake on this track. Said it in a lot of videos in the past, this game is very easy to stay in the DRS zone, but it's incredibly hard to get within 5/10 of a second. And if you're able to push someone round like that, then you definitely have a lot more pace. And you can already see Fish Kane having to ease off slightly, just a little hint of that dirty air. But in P2 here, I think Anton actually hit the rear of my car going to turn 1, which I wasn't really expecting, but luckily he only went down to 5th place, but he is definitely a threat. We've got Martin, Chloe and Anton behind us, all extremely fast drivers, so any mistake here is going to be very, very costly. And I said just before the lights went out, I think the top 3 in WOR qualifying are all in this. So in terms of the competitive grid, I think you'll find most times that in a long qualifying session, most people won't be hitting those super PB lap times because it's just so hard to just pull it together on that one lap. It's pretty much a one-shot quali per session, otherwise you use up the tyres here. But you can see some people have pitted already because no real change of story. It's me and McCabe Sam are really just staying in the same gap at this point. So Martin has pitted, and I'm not sure who else as well, but we continue on for another lap because I felt these tyres were pretty good to go, as someone else has pitted now, and that is BGG Clone, who someone who's really impressed me in this game actually. He's been extremely fast. But SHZ, Felipe, myself and McCabe Sam all continue, but we're going to stay on board in this lap because at the moment you can see by the tyre wear it's not too bad, but the lap times we're doing, it's not really that strong. On the exit here, he has a little bit of a wobble on the exit, kind of like how the AI do. Now this pace on the in-lap is not very good, so it's easy to go to the end on the hard tyres because in WOR someone actually did it from lap 1, so it's very possible, but it's all about how good your pace is on the in-lap. And then going into this corner, like I had the problem in qualifying, no, this is not a good in-lap so far, and both of us are losing quite a bit of time. So Martin and Clone could be a serious threat on the undercut, so we're really going to have to push as much as we can, and that is my first invalidation of the race so far. So just having to be a little bit cautious, but luckily only after 7 laps. You know, if we do that every 7 laps, we will get a penalty. So something just to pay attention to, because it's very easy to get an invalidation around this track here. So going into here now, we are definitely going to go into the pits. But K-Sound takes a very wide exit going into here. Again, a little bit of time on the entry, trying to brake as late as I can, but just a little bit left on time on the table just in case. And who else continues? VSR Hawks actually continues on the soft tyre, which is pretty ambitious for him to do. But we're going to the pits, last one in the pit lane here, and let's see what happens here. We get held just ever so slightly, just a little bit. McCabe Town comes out ahead of me, but it's all about the Ferrari and what is going to happen here. Going across the line now, Martin has actually jumped me, so he's gone up, and is he going to get Sam? Because Sam is compromised on the exit, and you can see they're going almost side by side, but I have to pay attention to BGG Clone, who is right up on my gearbox, so I have to go semi-defensive using my overtake. They are going side by side, but McCabe Sam just about holds the position. And to be honest, I'd rather if Martin did that, because he would have had the older tyres and no, he wouldn't have really got away. So McCabe Sam could, if he could break the DRS of Martin, he could actually, if he got away from him, then that could be really bad, because it's very difficult to overtake around this track, as we saw in this first stint already. We're going through into lap 10 now, trying to navigate this as best as I can, and I was just trying as hard as I could to try and just put them underneath as much pressure as possible, because that is the only way you got to overtake someone around here, is just putting him under immense pressure. Going through into this last sector, I felt very strong here, like I did in the qualifying, doing a 0.1 last sector, using the third gear, just letting the car drag myself around. But this is the story of it. I get a very good exit off this corner, but you can see again, go over it so many times in my videos, if you're the third man in a DRS train, it's pretty much impossible to overtake, because the guy ahead has got the DRS on here, and what the heck? is going on through here. The Ferrari is out sideways. We almost lose the car, and that has allowed Martin to get side by side with McCabe Sam. And because of that incident from Zelchus, now retired from the race, Martin now takes the lead here. The AlphaTauri going out very, very wide here, and that could have been so close to being completely raced over. No, it was so close. It didn't look as bad as that, but on board, there was very, very little room for error on that occasion. And now I saw McCabe Sam's a little bit flustered, so I'm going to try and take this as my opportunity to get past him, because I could get past him, then I feel I could get past Martin and then try and bridge a gap. So I'm using all of my overtake into his fast left right-hander, but there is just no way you can put your nose down into that corner. Like I said before, maybe the JD of F1 2019 would do that, but now you just have to think a lot more patiently, because that would just be an absolute plane crash if I do that. But I think we've got to ask Jeff if he's got a penalty out in front of me now. And McCabe Sam actually does have a time penalty, and we only have one warning at this stage.
Can you tell me if Martin's got a penalty?
Yeah, I think I'm asking my chat now.
Tell me if Martin's got a penalty.
Yeah, I'm asking my chat if Martin's got a penalty, because obviously I can't tell if Martin has unless I pause the game. But you can see how close people are behind me, and you're about to hear this now.
Martin has a penalty?
And Martin does have a penalty, because I can confirm he actually has a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pits, which is very unfortunate for him. But the thing is, on this game, especially on this game with the track limits and how strict they are, you've got to not get penalties, especially when the grid is as competitive as this and everyone's pretty much in a train where you can't overtake. Penalties decide everything, absolutely everything. And the position I'm in now, it looks probably quite comfortable, quite easy from the outside perspective, but I can tell you, being in this position is really, really not nice for me, because I know that the good thing is I know that if I keep it clean, I have a very good chance of winning this race. But the dirty air and just that pressure to just continuously keep it clean, it's like I say, when you're driving at Monaco, you really want to be committed, and that's the best way to not actually get damaged or make mistakes. Because as soon as you start being cautious and you try and not commit as much, that's when you actually start making more mistakes, because you're just not in your normal rhythm that you would actually be driving in. And that's what is really, really hard about this. Is again, I'm trying very, very hard to get past Sam, because I really wanted to win on track as well. Penalties is all good and everything, but I still want to win on track as much as I can. But obviously remembering to try and be a little bit patient and not take completely unnecessary risks. But leading back to what I was saying is that this really is sometimes the most difficult thing, because I know that it's in my hands now, and it's a dirty air of the uncertainty and everything's, well, I have pressure from behind, who Chloe doesn't actually have a penalty at this stage, I don't think. It's, you know, it's hard to drive committed and be clean, or uncommitted and be clean at the same time. It is really, really hard to do. And just having that focus, we haven't even gone through 50% of this race yet, and I'm about to ask Jeff if Clone has got a penalty behind, and he doesn't say anything. So Clone doesn't have a penalty, so if I make one mistake, we've already shown how difficult it is to overtake. It'd be extremely, extremely hard for me to recover. But going through this last sector, I was always very, very strong. I was trying to put him under as much pressure as I possibly could, because I still felt like if I could dispatch of Sam, I felt like I had more pace than him. And then Martin on the older tyres, I felt with the pace advantage as well, I felt like we had a really good chance. And because they both lock up here, but this is the story of it. If you're locked in this DRS, then there's really nothing that you can do at all. You have to rely on a uncharacteristic mistake, really, to be honest. But moving on towards the end of lap 17, trying to get really close to him again. I always got a very good exit coming off this corner. I'm going to use the overtake, but I just don't think we're going to be close enough. We're not going to put enough pressure on him. But the good thing is that Clone hasn't really been able to get that close to me, and you can see we're only 2 tenths behind Sam. So I think that does confirm that we definitely have some very, very good speed in this car. But he just managed to nail the chicane nicely. You can see just the little effect of the dirty air there. Just can't get that super close at all here. But I knew I was in the box seat, if I just keep it clean and again just don't need to take any unnecessary risk. But coming through this corner, coming out of here, going a little bit on the curb, applying the overtake and almost losing the car. That is another reminder that you have to keep fully concentrated. And further adding to my point about being in this position, I think just having that concentration is so that's probably the hardest thing, just to keep it all together, because Martin, he knows he's got a penalty, he knows he has to try and pull away, and then McCabe-Sam knows he has to attack him really, whereas me, all I have to do is just stay here. I don't need to force anything. But going into the last sector of the last lap here, the gaps pretty much stayed the same here, and we've managed to keep it clean the entire time. But although my chat was telling me there were penalties up ahead, you never know what is the case. So going through here, I'm trying to keep it as clean as I possibly could, and this drive was not easy by any stretch or measure. And cue headphone users, because you're about to hear how happy I am right now. Come on! Yes! Yes! And after the result we had in WOR, that was the absolute best medicine for me. And you always have people who criticize you and give you advice and stuff, which I really don't mind at all. And to be honest, it really helps me, and I welcome that. But I'm not gonna lie, of course it gets you down as well when I know myself what I feel I should be achieving and the pace I have on certain tracks on this game. I was extremely angry at myself and disappointed about, and the best way to make yourself feel better is to have a win like this around a track where you got no points earlier in the week. And this starts off my TSRL campaign. I am the defending champion, and to start with a pole position and a win to start my campaign of trying to retain that for 2 times in a row is the absolute perfect scenario for me. Thank you so much for the support, especially on my streams every Monday and Friday 8 p.m. Honestly, it honestly helps me so much. It really does. Again, thank you so much, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.